Welcome back to another video on 12 Rules for Life by Jordan Peterson. This is a continuation of a two-part video, and in this I promise to tie all the knots together and give you insights on how the rule was really formulated. To touch on the foundational premise of the rule, there is a narrative to indulge into, and since you're here, I'm sure you want to know what the story is. Within the chapter, there are important subheadings to get the ultimate point across, and I think it's worthwhile to discuss some of them while I leave the rest for you to read. Without wasting further time, let's dive in. Hierarchy through dominance and physical prowess. Ooh, tough words stringed together. This is a story of lobsters and wrens. Lobsters and wrens? Well, certain attributes of these creatures closely resemble that of humans. According to him, study and research has shown that these two creatures establish hierarchy and assert dominance amongst their kind. It is in their very nature to do so, and the strongest of them survive. It is also noted that the birds or lobsters sitting on top of this hierarchical chain are privileged in the sense that most often this leads to them occupying prime territory. What is prime territory? To put in context, this is easy access to food, shelter, and high quality mates. So why are we talking about birds and crabs here? Why does he bring it up, and how is this all relevant to standing up straight? Let's wait for that. Well, this is where he perfectly strings it all together. Think about it, and the more conscious of us would have already done it by now. We humans are not so very different in the sense that we understand that there is a social hierarchy and each of us fit in like a piece of puzzle. How are we different from these crustaceans? We may not fight for most of it, but there is a play and we're all the players in this game. The best goes right to the top, while the losers wallow or spiral down if that continues. The best we can sort of do is see life for what it is and stop complaining. And unless, of course, you want to quit it and live in a forest. Trust me and my buddies have considered it from time to time. I think this all makes perfect sense, and I would tie this to accepting the responsibilities of life. The game changes when you decide to gauge the game for what it is, instead of complaining on its unfairness. I tried doing it and found life, to put it in a philosophical sense, better when I accepted this fact. The next one is principle of unequal distribution, commonly referred to as the Paretos Principle. Now I'm sure all of you have heard of this principle, fit it into its own context in one or the other ways. But to put it into context of this chapter, he simply tries to convey the following. Life is unfair, and there are many such eponymous laws that govern these phenomena and uncertainties. It basically states that 85% of a specific resource is owned by top 10 to 15% of the population. Now this phenomena can be extrapolated to most fields, and it's in its very nature to be well-rounded. So why does he talk about all this? Well, I think, and in my opinion, he accepts that life isn't ideal, and it's left to your own virtue to find a way to the top, a top that you define to be. So now, coming back to the lobster story, so some of the lobsters get to where they are after fighting and going through the journey of getting to where they are, while the others stay where they are just because of their intrinsic nature. So, life is unfair and unequally distributed for most of it. It is your job to deal with it, and deal with it at least if you want to grow the social ladder. The next thing is chemical play. Ooh, let's get Breaking Bad here. Serotonin and octopamine, the chemicals that soar through the brains of lobsters and ours. Interesting enough, high serotonin and low octopamine determines a victor. Why is this so relevant? So, lobsters fight it out. The victorious among them have noted to have high levels of serotonin, and the losers swim in a pool of octopamine. A few victories dictate and drive more victories. To quote Dr. Peterson, the dominant male, with his upright and confident posture, not only gets the prime real estate and easiest access to the best of hunting grounds, but he also gets all the girls. Sort of becomes the alpha of lobsters. Scores the chicks and gets his way in a matter of dispute. So, it is exponentially more worthwhile to be successful if you're a male lobster. So, let's sequence it all out. For a lobster to win, it needs to have had a desire to have either prime real estate, a desire to have the hottest of lobsters, or any number of the remarkable reasons a lobster could possibly have. Now, us humans crave for something as well, most of us at least. Some for materialistic possession, some for power, some for position in the social ladder. So, it is in our very instinct to have one or more of the above mentioned desires. Now, act like a crab. Maybe not fight your way to success in your own terms anyway, and if needed, do fight if winning a boxing match is your thing. But point is, have a desire and work for it. make necessary sacrifice to get what you want tomorrow. He explains delayed gratification in a beautiful way. So do pick up the book. Let your desires drive you, the good ones anyway. I guess this is becoming a long video. Bear with me, this is the last one. Abstract counters, what are they? An abstract counter, a counter we implicitly maintain, keeps track of our social status. We assign ourselves a number and so do others. Cumulatively, we score a rank. The higher this counter value is, the better we feel about ourselves, and correspondingly, that's how we are perceived by others. There may not be a counter at all, for all we know, but don't you think this narrative just makes perfect sense? A badge of self-confidence takes you farther than you think. Practice self-confidence, you need it more than you think. I think it rhymed there a little. So, the counter can sometimes go wrong, and according to him, this is caused and attributed to bad sleep, poor eating habits, and it's among the other unhealthy activities we possibly indulge in. So, fix the goddamn counter, he says. How do we do that? Have a predictable daily routine, fixed wake-up time, get better sleep, and start your day with good breakfast. So, I think at the very least, it maintains your counter at a reasonable level, if not improved. A lot of self-help books recommend the same thing anyway. So if you slump around with the same bearing that characterizes a defeated lobster, people will assign you a lower status and the counter assigns a lower number, and ultimately dipping the production of serotonin. You don't feel as good as you want to feel. This makes perfect sense to me. The more you wallow in self-pity and practice any form of negativity, the more this pattern continues and the more it feels like the world is against you. The odds are stacked against you, right? So practice positivity. Your brain knows when you sit around and weep. To sum it all up and conclude this video, I would like to end with a few quotes from Dr. Peterson in the chapter itself. So, walk tall and gaze forthrightly ahead. Dare to be dangerous. Encourage the serotonin to flow plentiful. Doing so not only genuinely increases the probability of good things happening to you, but it makes good things feel much better when they do happen for you. Look for inspiration to the victorious lobsters. With its 350 million years of practical wisdom, stand up straight with your shoulders back. All the other rules in the book can be mapped to this summary, and this is all you need to know to get through this chapter. That's it for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a good one.